Welcome to the 7th lesson of the course Investing in Regenerative Agriculture and Food. How to put money to work in regenerating soils and ecosystems at scale and growing a lot of tasty food while doing it. This is not investment advice. Seek professional investment advice before making any investment, please. So today we'll look at nutrient-dense food, also known as the connection between healthy soils, healthy produce, healthy gut systems. Yes, we're going to talk about gut systems and healthy people. So what would it take to make the nutrient differences visible in regenerative food? If you compare two tomatoes and one is grown regeneratively, or one is grown on a farm that uses regenerative practices, that is building soil, or you buy a normal tomato in the supermarket or an average organic grown tomato, what's the difference in nutrients? That's what we're trying to find out and what we're looking for. And the question here, I think, is, will new technology, or is new technology showing this link between healthy soils and healthy people? And will that be visible for the farmer during the growing season? Will that be visible for consumers, maybe in the supermarket, on the farmer's market? And thus, will it also be visible for investors? And if that is the case, and I've seen, and I've had the pleasure to interview a few people that are working on this, I think it could be a game changer. Why? Because we can actually have the discussion, food as medicine. Like, you are what you eat. We say it all the time. We say stuff like, what does your gut tell you, your gut feeling, etc. But it starts to be more or less true, or we start to see a lot of research pointing in this direction, that it's the two tomatoes, the one from the supermarket and the one grown on a regenerative, with regenerative practices in a healthy soil. You cannot even technically call them both tomatoes. They are a completely different product. One could be completely full of nutrients and the other one could be basically empty, water and sugar. But we need technology to do that. So we're entering a time now where these kind of devices are coming out. This is the bio nutrient meter. You can see it. I actually have one. I cannot show it to you now because I don't have it with me. You can even see it. It's 3D printed. It's a very early stage model, but it starts to become possible to measure the nutrient density basically with a spectrometer, with a light ray. You can put a piece of apple, a tomato, etc. in it, some liquid even. The big issue is we don't have anything to compare it yet. We don't have the database that tells you this tomato with this and these scores is much better than the other tomato, or is much fuller of certain nutrients than you need, or a certain nutrient combination, etc. But this technology is coming. Like, in a few years, you'll probably be able on the farm, and maybe even in supermarkets or farmers markets, to measure, to compare with something that's more or less the size of your smartphone. I've talked to a number of companies that are developing this. So if you look at this from a framework perspective, because if you haven't seen the video we did before on how we are choosing these themes and why we're focusing, for instance, on nutrient density, and we build a framework to decide, okay, what are we going to focus our attention on? And if you look at the points that this framework, that this nutrient density, this theme, looking at healthy soils, the connection healthy soil and healthy produce is getting, if you look at the scale, if you look at the importance of this problem, it probably gets a 12. Like, it's enormous. The potential, if we fix this, we start looking at quality instead of quantity. We won't be talking to farmers about yield, but talking to about nutrients per acre, etc., etc. If we look at solvability or tractability, it seems to be coming. It didn't score a very high point. You could be an 8 or a 10 here, but it's definitely within reach. It's pretty much possible. Like, the device you saw before isn't perfect yet. The device you see here in the picture is actually in the kitchen of the chef Dan Barber. And this is a device that's unfortunately very expensive. I think it's about $35,000, but it does measure nutrient density, and it has, I will show some pictures later, it has the software connected to it as well. But it's a bit inaccessible. It's not that you can carry this around. It looks like a gun, basically. It's big, it's heavy, it's very expensive. But these devices are coming to the market, or are changed for the market to look at it. Neglectedness, definitely not a lot of people and not a lot of money and resources. So this looks at how much money and resources, how many people are focusing on this theme. In this case, not a lot. I don't meet many people, unfortunately, that are focusing their attention on showing that connection: healthy soil, healthy produce, healthy gut system, and healthy people. Personal fit, I think it's a 2, like normal. I have some motivation, some interest in it, but it's not that I'm the expert in terms of coding or building these devices. So in total, this would be a 28. If we look at the other framework we use, which is leverage points, it's, I think, a 3, which means it changes the goals of the system. We are going to be able to pay farmers or focus farmers on quality instead of quantity, which is fundamental. This, by the way, is the device from above. So if you just look here, the gray part, and then there is actually a piece of bread on top, which is Dendbarber bread made of Dendbarber wheat. And they did some very interesting experiments there. So she basically, this is Jill Clapperton, which we interviewed as well. And she's the scientific advisor of Dendbarber. And you can see some of the pumpkins in the left corner underneath in the picture, which are the pumpkins coming from Row 7, which is a seed company that the chef Dendbarber set up, focusing on taste, because taste and nutrients are very closely connected. And then you get these kind of things. You get these graphs. There's another video, I cannot click on it. It's just a screenshot. But you get these graphs around, in this case, bread, which is longer fermented or shorter fermented. And you can basically see the differences, even with the same grain. If they're grown on a different farm, they will have different nutrients in them. So to answer the question, the big investor question, why now, is that maybe tech is finally able to instantly and affordably show this relationship between healthy produce and healthy soils. To healthy people, that's still another step. But if we would be able to measure that, for instance, on the farmer's market, a lot of stuff will change fundamentally. If you're interested in this and want to dig deeper, I highly recommend our interview, not because it's our interview, but to dive deeper into interviews in general. You can find a lot about Dan Kittredge, Jill Clapperton, who you just saw at work with Chef Dendbarber, the interview we did with Greg Schumacher, who really looked at the emptiness of supermarket food, and a very interesting interview with John Kemp. You can see the Instagram videos that Jill made when she was visiting Dendbarber if you follow this link. And if you really want to dig deeper, I can't recommend enough the Soil Health Primer, which is part of the No Regrets initiative, which is a long, deep dive. You can easily lose a month in that, with a lot of research, papers, approaches, everything from regenerative business to soil health to grazing. And basically they have different levels. If you want to just scratch the surface, there are a few things you should read and are very interesting. If you want to dig deeper and deeper and deeper, they will basically serve you all those levels. So definitely highly recommended if you want to know more about this space. Any feedback? Yes, please share it with us. You can get in touch through the website, investinginregenerativeagriculture.com. You can tweet, you can comment below on the video, and basically email us also through the website. And don't forget, think about what this is worth to you, and think about if you have the means to pay what you think it's worth. Thank you very much. And next time we'll look at landscape size restoration enabled by technology. And with that, thank you for listening and tuning in, and see you next time.